Greetings and salutations, and all you Balkaholics that are in Grizak Fanatics that are listening tonight. No Rob, no Bryce. We're going to have to do the show without our producer and mutual friend and my best friend and audio engineer. As we are recording this will be live at some point, I would imagine, this weekend. I don't know exactly when, but we'll get it live. We had some technical difficulties with Blog Talk Radio. So we're going to reschedule both Scott Kobe and Michael Nazarick. They won't be on this week, but they will be on, well, I shouldn't say they won't be on this past Friday, but we'll get them on an extra special show this week to make sure that we give them their due. In any event, I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman. My co-host is the patron saint of fantasy football, the Dizzle, Dave Gerzak. If you want to connect with us on Twitter, at HSFF Hour, at Eric Balkman, at David Gerzak, Facebook.com/HSFF as well. And if you want to email us, highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com, we'll get to all those emails that we get in from you, not this week, but in future weeks for sure. So this is going to be kind of a catch-all show tonight. First of all, Dave, welcome. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I was better about 20 minutes ago. Maybe 25 minutes ago, but we'll make do. So I think, we're in the throes of drafting season right now. And I do want to remind everybody that if you are already signed up for the FFPC main event, don't be afraid to pick up additional teams since you're going to get $400 off each one of those. The live main event drafts start a week from today. We're recording this on the 14th. They start August 21st. The slow mains are already going on right now. And Dave, it's going to be tough to sell out the main event this year, which means if you are not in at all yet, it's a perfect time to jump in.
Yeah, we're just kind of, at this point, we're just trying to match last year's numbers, which was 2,400 teams, that we're still, I think we're about 1,100 plus away from that right now. So it's going to be, it'll be a challenge. The COVID thing has been, it's been a bit of a rough thing for fantasy companies. But really, I mean, the prizes actually went up from last year, so this is the best year to play the main event.
Yeah, guaranteed prize pool as well. So no matter how many teams,
we're not changing our prizes. That's for sure.
Right, exactly. Yeah. All right. So the other thing I should bring up too is if you are not interested in the main event, but you still want to play FFPC, don't forget about the Football Guys Players Championship. That grand prize got doubled to $500,000. A $3 million plus prize pool there. It's the largest one we've ever had. The Terminator tourney is underway. Don't forget to hop in the Super Bracket as well. And, of course, the Class 12-team leagues, Best Ball Slims, Best Balls, Terminator Satellites, all available at myffpc.com. Do we have a date when we would cut off or maybe, I don't even know if this is a possibility, but do live dynasty drafts, dynasty startups?
We have not scheduled any yet, but we might do some.
Okay, all right. And the dynasty startups are still going strong right now, everybody. So it's not too late if you're trying to get into a dynasty startup league for this year. All right, so I want to just, like I said, just kind of turn this all into a grab bag tonight, Dave, and we'll just see kind of what trips your trigger here.
All sorts of stuff.
All sorts of stuff, indeed. We'll get into a bunch of stuff. Deshaun Hamilton, you remember that guy?
Is he still in the? Is he in the XFL?
No, he's still with Denver.
Canada.
The third round pick, rookie pick,
XFL in Canada, which isn't playing.
No, did you see the XFL? And it sounds like they're going to have a league next season because
I'm sure they'll do really well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know about that, but we'll see what happens. No, Deshaun Hamilton's still with Denver, and this is interesting. Today, Friday, Dave, Deshaun Hamilton was actually working with the starters. This is interesting because they have Jerry Jeudy, they have KJ Hamler. Is this just a matter of the veterans getting work, or are you concerned that maybe, you never were a big Hamler guy, or are you concerned that Jeudy might get off to a slow start?
No, I'm not really that concerned at all. I mean, there's been effusive praise about Judy's route running. I think that you're just being, kind and generous to Hamilton. Hamilton's just a guy.
Okay. All right.
That's my opinion. What do you think of Hamilton?
I don't even think he's good enough to be just a guy. I think he's worse than just a guy, quite frankly. Moving on to San Francisco, Dave. Our old friend Jordan Reed, a whipping boy on this show of sorts over years, has signed a 1-year, $1 million contract, and the deal is also going to include $750,000 in incentives. Now, people are soaking first-round picks into George Kittle. Is there any value in adding Jordan Reed as a handcuff late, given that he's free in drafts?
Yeah, it's not the worst idea in the world. I mean, I can't stand it. I just think Jordan Reed. I think there's nothing to him. But
Right, yeah.
If he's on the bench and Kittle does actually get hurt, by definition, Reed hopefully should be healthy at that point.
You would think.
Yeah. He might get a few weeks out of him more. And he has some talent. So, he's really cheap. So
he's really cheap, and that's what I wanted to ask you, how cheap he is right now. He is currently going over the last 4 days in the Football Guys Players Championship. Shout out to Darren Armani, Fantasy Mojo, where we get all our FFPC ADP data. Fill in the blank, Dave. Jordan Reed is going in the blank round right now.
Is this best ball?
This is Football Guys.
Okay, 20th?
16th.
Oh.
He's moved up to the 16th. He's in the wild. Dude, he's going ahead of Dawson Knox. I don't get it.
I do think that's a mistake.
It makes no sense. He's right after Tyler Eifert. Boy, how about that pairing too, Eifert and Reed, in an all injury off. And then Will Dissly is going right next to him as well, which just is, Dawson Knox. Why does everybody hate on Dawson Knox?
I'm not sure.
I think the Patriots are hating on Sony Michel. Do you want to know why I think this?
Because they signed Lamar Miller?
A 1 year, $1.05 million contract, $200,000 in guarantees, and $1.5 million available in quote-unquote achievable incentives.
$1 million to pay him?
Yes, for 1 year.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good for, Lamar Miller is a solid back.
Now, he may not make the team either.
No, I know it's possible. He doesn't even make the team. But, I mean, it's a pretty solid deal for New England just to see what he's still got left.
All right, so let's talk about the fallout here for the other Patriots running backs. Number one, you want to be severely concerned if you're Sony Michel in any kind of if he's like your number 3 running back or something like that. Right. You got to be concerned right now about this foot injury.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And he probably starts the year on PUP, right?
It seemingly seems that way.
What does this mean for Damian Harris, who we're kind of excited? Well, I think I was more excited about him than you were. You kind of brought me back down to earth on him.
Well, yeah, so he did nothing last year, which is bad.
Hardly got in the game, right?
Yeah. What does it do for Damian Harris? I mean, I think you have to throw a little caution there because Lamar Miller is a legitimate NFL running back. He's averaged over 4 yards a carry. He's had over 1,000 yards a number of seasons, and the team. At least, I mean, he has a body of work. Damian Harris does not. I'd be curious just to see. Do you have any ADP data on Lamar Miller, or is it too early? Kind of.
I don't think it's necessarily too early. When did they sign? It was Wednesday, right?
I think so. Yeah. If you just do the last 24 hours.
I mean, 1606 is where he's going on average as running back 65, but the highest he's gone over the last 4 days is 1106. Mm-hmm. So he's being drafted there. Damian Harris, his ADP. 1207, running back 52.
I do think it'd be interesting if you're doing a zero RB, or even if you just are looking at running backs and you feel like you're able to dedicate 2 picks to it, and you're at the end, you could take the 11, 12, 1201 or 12, 12, 1301 if, let's say, or 11, 12, 12, whatever.
Yep.
If Lamar Miller
in best ball you're talking about.
Yeah. Right? Well, actually, no. Even in
football guys, really,
even in redraft. Take a shot at both those guys. All you're wondering is if Sony Michel doesn't do anything. But you'd still take a ton with James White, though, I suppose.
And Rex Burkhead.
Yeah, sure.
So the whole thing. Yeah, exactly. So this is the issue, though, with these Patriots running backs. Is all of a sudden we're back into.
It's always the same thing.
We don't know. We just don't know.
James White's the one to take.
James White is the one to take. You want to guess which round he's going in?
705.
I don't think it's that high. You think it's that high? I thought it was lower.
What, football guys?
Yeah.
I'm guessing 705. I don't know.
705? Really? Exactly. Yeah, running back 32 over the last 4 days, he was the 705. I did not realize he's actually going.
I don't have it up.
No, yep, that's totally legit. That was a legit guess by Bob. Maybe it wasn't even a guess.
It was a guess. I don't have any idea.
Okay, how about this? The running back that's going right after him, and I don't know how much we'll get into him tonight with news that's going around, Antonio Gibson.
Wow.
So I don't know if you probably don't listen to it, but Jordan McNamara and Chad Parsons host the Football Guys Dynasty show. It's their Dynasty podcast.
I know it's weird for me to say this because we're doing. Is it any good?
Yeah, I mean it's very informative. These guys, great. Yeah, and they do talk about FFPC Dynasty. They're in an FFP. I think they're in FFPC Pros versus Joe's Dynasty.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding. I mean, I know. You wouldn't want to lie, but actually you seem like that was a real response.
Yeah.
Because you actually like it.
Well, okay, so I'll tell you, it's just a funny story here about Jordan McNamara. Before one of the Pros versus Joe's drafts, a couple of weeks, I think it was in batch 2 or week 2, Henry Moody was talking to Shane Hallam in the chat room, and he was saying, I can't believe John McNamara said Clyde Edwards-Helaire is his number 11 rookie running back this year. And I was like, oh my God, number 11 rookie running back? I can't even believe there's 10 running backs being drafted. Wait, you're taking DJ Dallas over Clyde Edwards-Helaire? And I was like, I got to listen to this podcast. So then I got a chance to listen to it, and I was backed up, so I actually just listened to it yesterday.
It's a mistake.
He was his number 11 running back, but in startup leagues, not in rookie leagues. So he doesn't necessarily like him that much in a dynasty startup, but he's said it's still
Number 11 overall running back.
Overall running back,
Yeah,
yes.
rookie.
Yeah, exactly. So then I was like, okay, well, this makes a lot more sense. Anyway, where was I going with this? What were we just talking about?
What were you talking about?
John McNamara, Chad Parsons, there's something that,
running back.
Yeah, and it was the Patriots, and I can't, damn it, this is...
It was after James White, the running back going right after James White.
Yeah.
It was Antonio Gibson.
Antonio Gibson, thank you. So Chad Parsons made the
Allison
joke.
Bucky.
Yes, after Chad Parsons made the joke that after Damian Williams opted out, and everybody said, "Oh, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the 101 in redraft, like football guys do." Jokingly, or not jokingly for some people. Then you had the Darius Geis release. And he's like, okay, now Antonio Gibson's the little 101. And there's been a lot of excitement over Antonio Gibson in football guys leagues. And he's, as I just pointed out, he's going right after James White as far as running backs go, running back 33. How do you sort of stand in on this Washington situation? I'll tell you this right now. What I know about Gibson, there's a report today that Bryce Love has actually been looking really good in training camp so far. They still have Peyton Barber and Adrian Peterson there as well. None of these guys are all that expensive, although Gibson is now an 8th round pick.
So he's an 8th round pick. Where is Jordan Love falling?
Jordan Love.
Bryce Love. I was looking at something else up, and
that's okay.
You're going to know why in a second.
He's gone as high as the 13th round, Dave, but he's a 16th round pick.
Interesting. So what was your question to me again?
My question is, who do you like in this Washington backfield? So is it Gibson in the 8th round? Is that who you want to put a chip behind? Would you want to just see what happens with one of these later round guys? I'll tell you who I don't like is Peterson and Barber.
Yeah, I think I might. I know that there's first of all, the offense is still not all that great.
No, it's not.
So I think if I avoided it altogether, let's just say this: if I avoided the Redskins and the Patriots altogether,
right?
How bad is all that? I just avoided 9 running backs.
Yeah.
And 9 situations. Granted, the Patriots might be decent. They might not be. Who knows?
What's the ceiling for any of these guys? You know what I mean?
Well, that is the question. So what's the ceiling for James White? The ceiling is honestly a top 12 running back.
Yeah.
James White, that's different. I think he's the one. But Antonio Gibson, that's his technical ceiling. But how likely is it? I think that
less than 10% chance.
Yeah, I think you're still spending a fairly pricey pick on him. And for him to, given his limited experience in that role, to try and beat out Adrian Peterson, he was a Hall of Fame running back. Granted, he's super old.
Right.
It's just not quite that easy. You know what I mean?
Right.
I still think AP's going to get his.
All right, so let me throw this at you. Washington, they're not good. They're playing against some good teams in that division in Philadelphia and Dallas. As the season goes on, you got to believe that they will be developing talent for next year. And this is what Chad Parsons pointed out too. He's like, what's the point of hammering Adrian Peterson 15 to 18 times a game when you want to see what you have in Antonio Gibson? And quite frankly, we want to see what you have in Bryce Love too.
Well, that's totally accurate.
That's why I'm ignoring Peterson, but it sounds like you are too.
Well, yeah, I'm not all that interested in him, but I still think Gibson's not. He's not cheap, but I get it. I get the argument for him.
And there's 32 running backs going in front of him. It's not like he's being drafted as like a top 20 guy right
when
now.
Is he? What's his
running back 33?
Which is right. So again, I would much prefer James White. Because that's right where he gets picked, right?
White's running back 32.
Who's 34, 35?
I can bring that up right now for you, Dave, because that's the type of host I am. Okay, so it is going to be.
Well, actually, while you're looking at
Matt Breida.
Okay. Instead of that, go ahead.
Marlon Mack.
All right.
Tariq Cohen. 34, 35, 36.
I think actually, oddly enough, Gibson might be right. That might be right where I start taking Gibson.
All right.
So
I like myself some Matt Breida.
I got a Twitter poll for you.
All right, go ahead.
From Drake Jordan, who's Dynasty Falls versus.
He's great. Only in parentheses, high stakes Dynasty.
Yes, he's at Dynasty Champ 1. Which running back handcuff is the most overpriced this year? And the choices are Tony Pollard, Kerryon Johnson, or Todd Gurley. And Todd Gurley wins.
Oh, shock. That's unbelievable.
67% of the people.
That is good stuff. Very funny. What about Todd Gurley right now? Because, there's he's limping. They're scaling his workload back. Yeah. And granted, he's a veteran. I don't know how much he needs to get ready, but now you're talking about weighing the positives versus the negatives, Dave. And this is a 304 pick right now. Yeah. That we have to take Gurley. You want to do a quick would you rather with Todd Gurley?
Sure, and those things do matter to me. By the way, that news does matter. So I have to.
Tell us why it matters.
Well, obviously, if he's limping, that's not so good.
Right.
However, last year actually, Todd Gurley was still in the top 10 running backs. There's some article I read in explosive plays. Actually, he ranked right with Christian McCaffrey for the number of explosive plays, which were. I think it was plays where he was running faster than 15 miles an hour, and he gained 20 yards or more, and he had to have a certain number of them or something like that. But he still hit that, even with a terrible offensive line. So as that, even if he's limping around, between me and you, what do we care when he's limping around when he's not on the field? But if he's on the field and he's busting off big runs, that's
all fine and good for us. Yeah.
It's not like arthritis is it's got kind of like a pain management thing, right? It's not pain tolerance or you take your 6 ibuprofen before the game or whatever, whatever painkillers he wants to take. It's not like you
don't have arthritis, do you?
I suppose I had a little bit in my left shoulder.
So do you notice range of motion with your shoulder there?
I do, but that's right, surgery, and the range of motion is not from arthritis.
It's from the surgery.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do bench press and stuff like that. I don't have a problem with supposedly.
I kind of cast out
arthritis. I'm not running back.
Yeah, I get it. I just was trying to find an example there.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather have Todd Gurley or I'm almost confident in calling him your boy at this point, James Conner?
My boy?
Yeah. It sounds like you like him a lot better than I do.
I do like him better than you do, but I think I'm taking Gurley.
So I guess he's not your boy anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm overrating this injury thing, but this has me spooked in the 3rd round. This isn't the 8th round pick. This isn't the 9th round pick. This is a 3rd round pick. You got to kind of get this right. And Connor he's dealt with his issues before. I have a guy, our point guard on my rec league basketball team, which I think we forgot what we all look like since we haven't been able to play.
You guys haven't played?
We haven't played forever. No. There's no legs. Yeah.
I guess.
There's a
you guys mask up?
Well, there's a renegade league that's going on at one of the local YMCA's outdoors, but it starts at 6 a.m, and I can't get out and play basketball at 6 a.m.
Yeah, playing outdoors I think is relatively safe.
Right. Anyway, so our point guard, he plays fantasy football too. I think he actually plays FFPC, and he told me he threw his phone when we play on Sunday nights during the season, the NFL season. They threw his phone down at halftime during one of our games. I was like, what happened? He's like, I am never drafting James Conner again, because he had drafted James Conner back-to-back years. And the thing with Conner is he was like the king of leaving games early.
That's right.
First or second, and he'd be a shooter, or be something else, and he just got so frustrated with it.
It's like the anti-Frank Gore.
Yeah. It really was. That said, I think I'm still taking that Pittsburgh offensive line's pretty good. There's no real competition. I guess there's no real competition behind Gurley either. I think I lean towards Conner there. Now, ask me tomorrow, I might say Gurley, but I think I'm leaning towards Conner right now. Okay, Todd Gurley or Melvin Gordon?
Gurley.
I think I agree. Yep. Todd Gurley or Leonard Fournette?
I think I'm taking Fournette there.
I'm going to take Gurley. I like the offense a lot better in Atlanta. I know the risk involved.
I like Fournette in a contract year, and I still think he's kind of underrated. But
I think he's underrated too.
Also, the Jaguars organization.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Todd Gurley or Le'Veon Bell? I know you like Bell this year, right?
I do like Bell, actually. He's lost weight. He's lean. He's in good shape. The team kind of blows. Coaching staff, Gavin Gase is the worst.
Offensive line's not much better.
I'll take Gurley.
I would too. I'm going to go the other way here. Todd Gurley, Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones.
I agree. Todd Gurley, Austin Eckler.
Eckler.
I agree. Todd Gurley or Nick Chubb.
God, that's actually closer than
Yeah. I'm actually going to say
I'm going to say Gurley.
I'm going to say Chubb here, but it's close. I want to put 5 on so many of these, but they're almost all coin flips, and that's the importance of getting your second and third round picks right this year. It's going to give you such an advantage. Well, it always does.
And the funny thing is, I mean, we say it. You say it's a coin flip, and right now it is. But almost for sure, by the time the season's over, it won't be. Right. Like someone will have like 300 fantasy points, so everyone will have like 180 or something.
Played in like 6 games. Or something like that.
Whether it's just injuries or ineffective or something like that. But yeah, there'll be some definite winners in that group, and hopefully I got the right ones.
Today the Niners signed wide receivers Tavon Austin and J.J. Nelson. Any interest in the Football Guys League format with either of those speedsters?
No.
Does this make you dislike a guy like Jalen Hurd, Deebo Samuel, anybody like that, Brandon Ayuk? The fact that the Niners are adding these 2 guys.
Did you get the name right there?
Ayuk. God. Fantasy NASDAQ on Twitter, by the way, calling me out on that.
Anyway, so not really.
Okay, it doesn't change anything.
Those guys are they're not really much of anything.
And I guess
Jalen Hurd's kind of interesting, though, because, I mean, we've talked about him a bit before, but he's interesting.
He's interesting. Clyde Edwards-Helaire took the film with the starters. Feature back. No veteran, precedence or anything like that for Andy Reid, Dave. It is Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Team.
Yeah,
you can't even get him back.
That's true, exactly. Louis Riddick of ESPN said that the team is very happy with Edwards-Helaire's progress before the pads went on, and obviously no Damian Williams there. Now you have DeAndre Washington if you want to grab him as a handcuff or whatever.
There's still Darwin Williams, right?
Darwin Thompson.
And Daryl Williams.
And Daryl Williams, yeah.
I me and my names today. I'm terrible.
It's fine. It's whoever gets those.
I was in love because I was looking at Drake Jordan.
That's fine. Yeah, it's fine. The only guy that'll ever get right in that backfield is Clyde Edwards-Helaire because he's got such a unique name.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this right now. We have the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship coming up in a couple of weeks. In fact, we'll be there 2 weeks from today. And
by the way, I can't wait to bid on the draft spots on Sunday via Zoom.
That's going to be fun. I don't think I got enough. I got like 2 invites, but I'm in a bunch of leagues there.
Also, it's only for full league. So if your division isn't full,
okay, then I get it. That's fine.
I was being facetious, but I'm glad you're happy about it.
But it's only for 4 divisions.
Pissing away my Sunday, like trying to.
That's like Pharaoh says. By the way, get the 1 spot and then get out of there.
I should just tell him.
That's what you're going to do anyway, right?
I should just tell him $700 for the for up to 700 max for the 1 spot, then the 2 spot, then the 3 spot, then the 4 spot. Just take. I want all the top spots.
I'll be honest with you. I looked at the Cincinnati bidding.
Yeah.
And I don't believe anybody ever touched 700 for any spot.
Okay, so what? 500?
No, it was between 5 and 6.
All right, so I should say 7, and then I could just get all number 1 picks for 600.
That would probably work, yeah.
All right, by the way, if you're in the league with me and you heard all this, that's my strategy.
So, yeah, you can't get this anywhere else, ladies and gentlemen.
Is a 2-pick any good? What do you think?
Saquon Barkley? What's wrong with him?
Yeah, that's not, well, yeah, the team's up and coming. So, okay, Barkley, 3-pick, Camara, Elliott.
The hive mind, as Sigmund Bloom from Football Guys would say, would tell you that it's Ezekiel Elliott. It is not Ezekiel Elliott for me.
All right, so for you it's Camara. So bring me the top 4 picks. Fine. Dalvin Cook's kind of legit 5.
Yeah. And then, okay, so then you get down, this is actually...
Keep in mind, this is KDS 3R.
Right.
Is it 3R?
It is 3R, yes. But then you get down to the Michael Thomas, Clyde Edwards-Helaire level. Or, if you're feeling 2-packer-ish, Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
So how deep does it go for you? Is it top 5 and then you don't want to take Thomas?
No, you know what? Actually, I could just be fine going anywhere in the top. I should actually do like a little sliding scale, like the 600, 500, 400, 300, 200, 100.
Yes. So
see how it's sliding?
Yes, I get it. Yeah. Obviously, as always, the middle is cheapest. I mean, there's a lot of $10, $20, $30 picks in the middle.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this right now. I was like, you know what? I got to kind of spread myself out here for bidding on these spots. And I had done 4 leagues previously, redraft leagues. Some were best balls. where you bid on your spot. Or not necessarily where you bid on your spot, but where you're somewhere randomized. 4 leagues. I had the 8 pick, and I've had 3 5s thus far.
Oh, really?
I will not be bidding on the 5 pick in any of these leagues.
Get sick of it.
Yeah, well, I want to get something at the back end. I want to get something at the front end. You know, I've been hanging out with the 5 pick. So
I'm just going to take McCaffrey, and then I take Lamar Jackson at the 212 in all the leagues. I don't care.
Yeah, would you take? You would take Jackson over Mahomes. We talked about this, right?
I would, but I like Mahomes, but I think. But speaking of those explosive runs I was talking about, Lamar Jackson had the most rushes over 15 miles an hour and the most rushes over 20 miles an hour. And
for any player, right?
For any player,
yeah.
And it really wasn't even close. I mean, it was like more than half of his runs exceeded like that minimum speed, and like the next closest person was like 30%.
That's insane.
53%.
Yeah.
So he's essentially not coverable as a running back. I mean, he's like the best running back in the NFL, but he plays quarterback.
Yeah, which is great for fantasy. It's even better.
Yep, and for my 212
pick. Yeah, for your 212, and you have McCaffrey and Lamar. Who's taking at the 312 then?
I'll figure it out. Tony Gonzalez.
Tony
Gonzalez and Plaxico Burress.
You know, technically what you could do, and I don't know who I would take at the 312.
Ertz.
No, take at the 312-401, you take Mark Andrews.
Yeah,
you probably. I don't. That's probably early for him in Kentucky.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's making it to 512-601.
That's probably true. I have to look at the ADP, but you're probably right.
Yeah,
that's for sure right.
But I know a lot of people have gone with McCaffrey and Jackson and Mark Andrews. By the way, did you see Fantasy Mojo tweeted this out? He looked at the most common pairing with Christian McCaffrey teams this year.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
And to the position.
He put no, I can't because that'll give it away. Well, maybe I won't give it away. I don't know.
So it's not Lamar Jackson because we just.
That's what everybody on his poll thought it was.
Mahomes.
That's not Mahomes. It's a guy we actually already talked about quite extensively on this program. So this episode so far.
Kittle.
And it's not a quarterback and it's not a tight end.
Okay, so it's either running back or receiver.
It's not a receiver.
So it's Gurley.
It is Gurley.
Oh,
the most common pairing with Christian McCaffrey has been Todd Gurley this year.
I mean,
it makes sense. I mean, it has the 304, obviously, on average right now.
Well, if Gurley has a Gurley year playing for Atlanta, I mean, that's a pretty solid.
Mm-hmm. Denzel Mims injured his hamstring a couple of days ago, Dave, when he was running routes according to, was it routes or routes? Did we have this conversation before?
I say routes.
Running routes.
Routes would work too for some people.
Yeah, I like routes. He runs the 9 route. No, it's routes.
My aunt.
We don't need to go into that.
Measure anything properly.
Adam Gase actually reported this. So you had a battle for the opposite receiver in that Jets offense to Brashad Perriman, and it was either going to be Denzel Mims or Vincent Smith. No question, Mims has the higher upside. Vincent Smith, remember him? Speedster, just playing for the Texans.
I don't.
He's got the really funky spelling, Vincint. Yeah,
I honestly don't. I've never.
It's fine. That doesn't matter. He hasn't done anything. So I guess the question here is:
Mims to the guy. No,
not. Well, let's talk about maybe bringing Demaryius Thomas back. God, what a train wreck that would be. But regarding Mims, does this eliminate him as a later round flyer for you, knowing that he's a rookie and he's banged up now? With a soft tissue injury, by the way?
No, I mean, it's a very good leading question, counselor, but I'm going to have to say it's just not. I'm still interested in Mims. Maybe he gets a little bit cheaper. I could treat him as a hostile witness.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, maybe he gets a little cheaper. I mean, I don't see anyone else. I mean, they're probably just going to pray that he gets healthy because they have no one else. I mean, there's a chance that they may sign someone that gets cut. I mean, that's a possibility if necessary.
I don't know who posted this on Twitter, but it was... I don't know where I saw this now. On an unrelated subject. This Ronald Jones muscle ad thing. So in 2019, Roto-World had a blurb about...
This might be Drake Jordan again.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Which Ronald Jones summer offseason weight gain was your favorite?
Right. And then it was the 2019 one, and then the 2020 one, and then the 2021 one?
Let's see, there's a 2021...
So yeah, this is it.
So there's a 2020.
So the 2019 and 2020 were legit, where he put on like 13 pounds, and then he put on 8 pounds, and then the 2021 one where he put on like 20 pounds of muscle in the offseason. Yeah, this is read this blurb. This is great. So this is in like the mold of a Roto-World blurb, which we're all familiar with.
I hadn't even read this before. So
It's very funny.
Free agent running back Ronald Jones says he added 30 to 35 pounds of quote muscle unquote this offseason. Wendy's Burger King Taco Bell every single day. That's what we call the Triple Crown, baby, Jones said. Jones, who was infamously relegated to four-string running back duties with the Bucs after the Frank Gore trade in Week 4 of last season, seems to be sticking to his tried and true tradition of boasting about his offseason weight gain once July rolls around. We typically wouldn't advocate for drafting Jones in fantasy this summer, but it's difficult to bet against a weight gain like this one.
Yeah.
We're grabbing you as an end-of-bench stash to see how this plays out. Source, Drake Jordan on Twitter.
That's great. Bravo, Drake Jordan.
We should get him on this.
Give Drake Jordan's Twitter handle out again.
Yeah, it's at DynastyChamp1.
Wow, you guys got to follow him at DynastyChamp1. Just absolute money
retweet
on everything he tweets.
Yeah, and he's so great that we email all these pros to get into the Dynasty pros versus pros. We had to beg him to get in, and
he wants it.
No, he said he's too good for it, but luckily
we had to lower the standards to high stakes.
Yeah, exactly. So to the 250, he wanted to do 2,500 one. But anyway, we got into 250, so we appreciate it. Thanks.
Speaking of bulking up, Kyler Murray's actually put on some muscle weight this offseason.
Yeah.
He said he wasn't trying to, but he said, he's getting older and he's just becoming more mature, obviously, and working out a lot more. So it's just happened. I'm just curious to your thoughts on a weight gain for a quarterback who's been very mobile and a favorite of yours last year, by the way.
Yes, I liked him in Dynasty. I still love him in Dynasty. He's not cheap though, that's for sure.
Right. He wasn't cheap last year.
He's never been cheap. So what did they say how much he gained or what he weighs now?
He said the exact quote here.
Put on some weight or whatever.
I didn't go into the offseason saying I need to put on 10 pounds or however many pounds I put on.
That doesn't, it makes sense. He came to the NFL young. He actually looked a little bit, I don't want to say lean or slight because he wasn't, but he was not a bulky guy.
I was a bulky guy this year.
I think he's fine. You look at Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, got married, had a kid or whatever. He looks like he's chunked up just a teensy bit. You don't want to get to be where Russell Wilson's at, although Wilson's still in really good, pretty fine shape.
Yeah.
But his face is a little bit puffier, than it used to be. But I think that Murray
fatherhood will do that to you, dude.
It does, man. It's a sympathy weight. So I think for Murray, it's fine. I think he'll be. He's kind of just growing into being an adult, really.
He also said that he thinks Hopkins, Kirk, and Fitzgerald all have the chance to post 1,000-yard seasons this year. Dave, I agree with Kyler Murray. I think they have a chance to post that. I don't think it's a high probability. I think Fitzgerald is more like a 500 to 600-yard receiver at this point of his career. I don't think Kirk gets it either.
Yeah, I don't think Kirk gets it either. I think Hopkins might actually do all right, though. He's a consummate pro. I know I've kind of poo-pooed picking him at some of the spots because I prefer Aaron Jones where he goes. But I think Hopkins will still have a fine year.
I don't think we talked about this. In fact, I know we didn't. Josh Jacobs said this past Wednesday his goal for 2020 is to catch at least 60 balls. Now, I was on Fantasy Alarm with Howard Bender and Jim Bowden on Thursday evening. And Howard asked me this. He said, true or false, Eric Balkman says Josh Jacobs will catch at least 60 balls this year. Well, I'll just ask you. When Howard, it wasn't even a question, it was more of a statement, and I had to say true or false. So if I'll pose, I'm not going to tell you what I said, but I'll pose it to you. Dave Gerzak, true or false? Josh Jacobs is going to catch at least 60 balls this year.
I have to say false.
And that was my answer.
Yeah.
It's fun to have that goal, and it's fun to, it's good to set goals, obviously, for anything you do in life. But
I feel like this is a philosophical discussion.
60 balls, dude.
It's important to write it down. Write down your
goals. That's big.
That's right.
So here's the thing with Josh Jacobs. The Raiders have they not publicly, Gordon or somebody in the organization has publicly said, we want Josh Jacobs on the field more. This is a guy who went off the field on third down a ton last season. And when the Raiders were winning games, Josh Jacobs, man, enjoy the ride. When they were losing games, woe is you, because you didn't get a good fantasy performance from him. My question is, when you're trying to keep this guy in game shape, you're trying to keep him healthy all season, you want to save the wear and tear. What's the impetus to putting him on the field on third down when you have a pretty talented pass catcher in Jalen Richard, who's already demonstrated that he owns that skill? And two, they went out and signed Devontae Booker from the Broncos. And say what you will about Devontae Booker,
I will.
He's not very good at most of the things a running back needs to do. But you know what he does pretty well? Catch passes.
Well, I tell you the reason why is because they think that Jacobs, and I mostly agree with him, is a playmaker. Jalen Richard is he's a very decent pass-catching back. He's really not all that great, just in general. I mean...
No, not as a running back. No.
Yeah, so I mean, Jacobs is way better. I mean, he's just a much better player. He is much more likely, if he can be a three-down back, to help them win games, to score touchdowns. He's one of their best playmakers on the team.
Yeah.
I mean, when you really have a receiver, they have, Tyra Williams, they got, Ruggs,
Ryan Edwards,
Ryan Edwards. These guys might be playmakers, but they're still super young.
Right.
And then you have Darren Wallace. I mean, he's really good, obviously, as well. But
Jason Witten, by the way, on that team, too.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, really, Jacobs is kind of, and Derek Carr is not fantastic. He's not. So, I mean, he's kind of the centerpiece of their offense. If you can keep him on the field all 3 downs, I do think, by the way, I said false, but I think he's got a shot. I think he's got a chance to catch 60, and I think he will catch like 45 to 50. And I think he's worth a late first-round pick. I like Jacobs this year.
There was a meme on Twitter, and again, I'm terrible at remembering this stuff, so I apologize.
It must be Jack Jordan.
Maybe it was Jack Jordan, quite frankly. I don't know. But it was a picture of a gun, like a pistol,
yeah,
and then a gigantic bullet that was like bigger than the pistol itself, and somebody was trying to jam it in there. Mm-hmm. And there was an arrow pointing to the gun that said Derek Carr, and then an arrow to the bullet saying Derek Carr's weapons. It's totally true, But, okay, so in any event, Josh Jacobs is essentially, he's going at the back end of the first round, right? And I'm sort of asking myself this.
He is, but sometimes he falls to that mid-second.
204 right now.
204, yeah. So you see him. So, I mean, if he falls, 204, if that's his average, sometimes he might fall to 209, 210. I mean, I think
he's fallen to the 207 within the last 4 days in at least one Football Guys draft.
Okay, well, that's interesting. That means he's really, that's a pretty tight window for him then. So he's really probably going at 202 or 207 because he is a feature back on the team. The offense isn't that bad, and Carr could be all right.
Josh Jacobs or Kenyon Drake?
Oh, God. Yes.
I'm taking Drake for what it's worth.
Yeah. Shoot. I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to take Drake too.
Mixon or Jacobs?
Mixon.
I agree.
It's close on Drake.
I'm going to take Derrick Henry over him too, right?
Yeah, I will, even though he doesn't catch a ton of passes.
Neither does Josh Jacobs.
He does.
Okay, we'll see. Well, you could be right. Josh Jacobs or neither one of our boy, Nick Chubb.
Jacobs.
Yeah, I think so. Josh Jacobs or the anti-Josh Jacobs, Austin Eckler. I'm going to take Jacobs.
I think I'm taking Jacobs here.
All right, let's keep that conversation on the Raiders here, Dave. This is something I guess I either forgot about or didn't realize. Tyra Williams actually had plantar fasciitis, and he's doing daily maintenance on that right now.
Now?
Yeah.
And he had it when last year during the season?
I'm going to get to the story right now here. By the way, this was... I want to thank Football Guys for all this great knowledge from their news blogger here. Vic Tafur, I don't know how to pronounce him. He's a longtime Raiders beat writer. He tweeted out Wednesday, Tyra Williams said, quote, he's over the hump, end quote, with his 2 burning feet. Doesn't know why the plantar fasciitis finally cleared up, but is doing daily maintenance to make sure soreness stays away.
You know what daily maintenance is for plantar fasciitis?
Rest.
No, it's putting 2 tennis balls under your feet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like nothing. I mean, that's the maintenance. I had it before. You're just supposed to like stretch out the muscle or whatever, so you just put.
So this doesn't concern you then?
No, it actually does concern me that it took this long to actually get supposedly over it.
He's not a young man, I guess.
He's not that old. What is he, 28, 29?
I don't know. Let's see. Are you looking it up or am I?
I am.
You look it up. Okay, so let's just say that you have a problem with Tyra Williams now, which, by the way, as far as his ADP goes,
28.
He's 28 years old. When does he turn 29?
February 12th?
Wide receiver 81. Yeah, I got it. Wide receiver 81.
That's pretty cheap.
1810. You still on board with him there?
Yeah,
I am too.
At that point I am. He's 4.205, and he's He's a pretty talented player.
Do you like Edwards or Ruggs for redraft this year in like a football guys contest, even though that they're rookies?
I would consider both of them in different spots.
But you're going to have to because they're going at different spots. Ruggs is going at the 10:06, and Edwards,
that seems expensive for Ruggs.
17:02.
I would say I would look at Edwards versus.
Would you go back to back Edwards and Williams?
I've done craziest stuff.
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited about doing that in Kentucky now. All right, now this might throw a monkey wrench into the whole problems. Victor Ford, who covers the Raiders for The Athletic, says Aguilar will
Get more confident in the name.
Well, I don't know. Will, quote, do enough in this offense to make fantasy owners of Ruggs, Williams, and Renfro upset.
Who is this?
This is Victor Ford.
I know what he's talking about.
I was talking about Nelson Aguilar, the guy who couldn't catch anything in Philly.
Yeah, come on.
They're done with Aguilar, right?
Yep.
And this does not affect anything with how they feel with the other Raiders receivers.
Correct. Well, I mean, there's a chance that he does something. I just don't think it's going to happen.
You know, I know we talked about Le'Veon Bell earlier. I just want to get this out there. He wants to. He's at 210, 215 right now for his weight. He says he wants to stay there, and he says he improved his conditioning this past off season. Did you hear about this midnight boxing he's doing this year, or has been doing this off season?
No, tell me about this. And who's this?
Le'Veon Bell. You know, he's doing his normal training, obviously, and taking good care of himself. But then I guess like at 10 or 11 at night, he goes down to some gym and he works out with this boxing trainer, and he boxes sometimes until like 1 in the morning.
Wow. He's first of all, he's crazy, and
We all knew that.
possibly in a good way though. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he channels his Antonio Brown craziness into exercise.
Yeah. Who's good crazy in the NFL? George Kittle?
It might be Le'Veon Bell.
Maybe it's Le'Veon Bell, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Who else is good crazy?
I'm trying to think of anybody who has just insane workout routines, and I don't.
Or who's just McCaffrey's kind of that way. It seems like, but
And he's vigilant, but he would never midnight box because he's got to get his 14 hours of sleep.
that's true. He's like, he's got his whoop on. He's going to sleep for 10 hours, and
What's a whoop? Oh, that thing, yeah, that's right on the wrist. Yeah.
wears the whoop.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah.
Is that a dealership or sponsorship with them?
I don't know if he does or not, but they're doing COVID-19 testing for the NFL as part of their. They actually monitor respiratory rate.
Yeah, that I did hear about.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if you've heard about this. Apparently, Frank Reich says he's going to use the hot hand at running back.
Good old Frank Reich.
He says Marlon Mack's the starter, but the team's not afraid to use the hot hand at the position. Now, here's what I take from this.
Yes.
If Marlon Mack was the starter, you answer the reporter's question saying Marlon Mack is a starter, and you leave it at that. If Marlon Mack does not have a stranglehold on this job, you leave yourself an out and you say, we might go with the hot hand from time to time.
Right, yeah.
To me, this just it's a perfect way for the door to be kept open for Jonathan Taylor. We talked with Frank LaPrade about this several weeks ago, who's the Jonathan Taylor super fan. And I got to believe, even though he's a rookie, he might get off to a slow start. I still would rather, I think, again, unless his value gets crazy out of control, and I don't think it's there yet, I'd rather have Taylor and invest in him rather than where Mack is going.
Well, I would too, but I think I might not prefer to be drafting Colts running backs this year. You know, with the pandemic going on, Mack's going to have some sort of a role. Taylor's expensive. I mean, he's a really good back, but he's expensive. And they're still talking about Nyheim Hines all the time. Again, if I get rid of all the Patriots backs except for James White, I get rid of the Indianapolis running backs, and what was the other team that we want to get rid of all their running backs?
New England, Washington.
Yeah. So now it's like 12 running backs, 3 teams. Easy. I was just saying James White's only one of those guys.
Sean McVay was on Hard Knocks. What a view.
Oh, yeah, he had a beautiful. I mean, by the way, Hard Knocks was so. I really enjoyed it. I could watch that episode like 10 times.
It was great. It was one of the most entertaining episodes I've ever seen in that series.
It's just refreshing to see football again, too.
Yeah, it for sure was.
We know it's a normalcy a little bit.
We know Sean McVay likes to sip rosé while looking out over the San Fernando Valley or wherever that is.
Yeah, he has a money view. Good for him.
Apparently, he was approached by ESPN to try to get him in the television booth this offseason.
Yeah.
That's kind of bizarre.
I mean, it's hilarious, actually.
I mean, why would, How desperate are you for
But
Monday Night Football?
I guess it makes a little bit of sense because you just never know where a person's at in life. For example, like maybe he's like,
I guess what's he going to do? All he says is no, and then that's it.
Right, but I mean, so if he's like totally into coaching, but if he's like, you know what, I made my $30 million, and I got my hot young wife here, and I just want to relax. I mean, that would be a way to do it. I mean, he could probably announce for the next, he could he could probably sign a 10-year huge contract with ESPN right away at this, and made not as much money, but made like $50 million or something maybe.
Yeah, you're probably right. Did you see the Monday Night Football booth this year?
No.
It's Brian Greasy, Louis Riddick, and Steve Levy taking over for Booger and Joe Tessitore and who's the other guy in there last year?
I don't know.
Can't remember. Oh, was it Witten? No, Witten played last year, didn't he?
Yeah. I actually.
Oh, it was him and Booger. It was Tessitore and Booger because Booger moved up from the side.
I didn't mind Booger actually much. I thought he was all right. I know some people hated him.
I don't know. I didn't hate him, but he didn't do much for me.
I mean, yeah, he had stupid comments, which I kind of appreciated. So.
Right. And I'll say this, too. I don't really care about announcers that much. Some people are, like, fanatical about it. I'm just kind of like, whatever, A lot of times
you're watching, you're not even paying attention.
No, I'm not. And I'm, like, talking to my friends or like, the sound is on mute. So I don't, I couldn't care less about that.
Yeah.
All right, I want to wind things up here, Dave, and just a couple more things here. T.Y. Hilton passed his physical on Wednesday. He was activated from the NFI list, but this was a hamstring injury. Any concern here for a guy who's going on 31, who's had soft tissue injuries before?
Yeah, a little bit. There's a concern there, I think.
You want to guess where he's going this year? I think we had this conversation already.
Yeah, we've been paying attention. We should know. It's like he's always at the turn, so...
Not this year.
No, he's not. Okay.
Wide receiver 28.
609.
604.
Shoot.
Who's your other head this year? Which banged up receiver would you rather have this year? They're going back to back. Hilton or Green, you'd rather have Green.
Okay. I can guess, right?
I mean, how many,
it's a banged up receiver. The word on AJ Green is positive. What's his name? Joe the Gopher, Joe Burrow.
Why is he the Gopher?
Because he burrows. He loves AJ Green. He thinks he's like, oh, you're so explosive, blah, 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 blah. I still prefer Tyler Boyd because he's safer, but AJ Green, Boyd and Green together, that would be all right.
It'd be awesome, for sure. Phillip Lindsey, we talked about this earlier.
That's why I didn't like Melvin Gordon, is because I actually think Phillip Lindsey, I like him. Go ahead. Unless there's bad news.
Muscle watch. He's put on 10 pounds of muscle. He says he feels good and he feels fast. Remember that.
He's honestly probably a better back than Gordon.
All right, so I have a couple of things to say about this, but let's talk about Lindsey here first. He had that really bad wrist injury, which obviously prevents you from catching balls, and he's not dealing with it this year. He's put on the muscle, which we're concerned with. Is this guy big enough to take the pounding? Somehow he did this first 2 years, but added weight is always a good thing. I was listening to the Football Guys podcast, and this might have been Damon Lammy, and I think it was a preseason watch list episode, and they were talking about how they didn't believe that the Chargers used Melvin Gordon properly when he was in San Diego and Los Angeles. They had, he's a very fast running back, as we all know, and they had him, instead of getting him to space and having him run outside, they had him slamming between the tackles quite frequently.
Well, it's interesting, though, that, just to refute that a little bit, Aaron Jones is one of the best running backs in the NFL between the tackles. Right. He's also a really fast running back.
Right. Well, I'm not saying fast guys can't operate between the tackles.
And maybe
but I'm not saying all of them can.
Right, yeah, maybe Gordon's a different way. Right. It's just different.
And now there's in Denver, different scheme, different offense, different philosophy. Maybe this is how you uncork them. Now, to refute my refutment, that's even a word.
They call this, you're making your own Steelman argument.
Yeah, I am. How good is Lindsey when they went out to get Melvin Gordon? You know what I mean? And
this is Denver.
Yeah.
The GM is an idiot.
John Elway?
Yeah, the big, huge teeth. He looks as dumb as he is as dumb as he looks. Yeah. He's a terrible GM. He's like, we're this really awesome undrafted free agent running back that we're paying jack crap to. Why don't we spend a ton of money on Melvin Gordon for no reason?
Well, it wasn't that much. It was like 2 years, $20 million. To me, that's not a ton.
Well, for running back, it's not cheap, but nonetheless, I don't get it.
Well, he has the veteran offensive weapon they have on that team. He is. They don't have. It's a super young team, including the quarterback. Mm-hmm. They had Juwan James opt out of the season. They're starting right tackle, and now the guy who's going to be competing with Garrett Bowles, who's been largely a first-round bust at left tackle, is going to have to go. I can't remember his name. He's going to have to play right tackle, and the left tackle situation is pretty bad with Garrett Bowles. So the offensive line is not great there.
I just find it funny how hard is it to switch from one side to the other. But anyway.
Well, no, it's not. It's not a matter of switching. I don't think they wanted Bowles starting.
Right, I got you. Yeah, they just wanted to have the other guy.
Right, exactly. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to Miami. Cameron Wolfe, who's a beat writer for the Dolphins there, has pegged the top two running backs there for touches this year. 50% to Jordan Howard, 35% to Matt Breida. Dave, I'm still on Breida, even though
it's a 15%.
Just a random whatever. Yeah,
riff-raff.
Yeah, whoever signs there, Barry Sanders, whoever. Did you say a story about Barry Sanders with the fan mail?
No.
They found a bunch of fan mail. I don't know if it was at Lions headquarters or something, and it was all these fan letters to Barry Sanders from kids and people when he was still on the team. They gave them to Barry Sanders.
Unopened?
Yeah, and now Sanders is answering all these kids, and now they're all adults, obviously.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. It was a great story on ESPN. Check it out. Breida's going ahead of Howard in Football Guys drafts, and I'm still on board with that because I think the value of Breida's touches are going to be better than the value of Jordan Howard's touches.
You might be right.
It doesn't sound like you're too eager to agree with me, though.
Well,
or disagree, I guess.
Breida does not get me all that excited. I don't feel like in week 12 of an FFPC, if I was playing the FFPC main event, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm in the semifinals of the playoffs, and I look at my team, I have my starters, and I look across at my opponent, and I'm like, Matt Breida.
Okay.
Damn it.
Did you?
I gotta go against Matt Breida tonight.
Yeah, well, this
is the worst.
The way you're framing this is not good. I mean,
my point is Matt Breida, I don't think he's a league winner. I don't really think he's much of anything that matters. And so I'm not scared of him, and I'm not going to probably have him on my teams.
Okay, that's fine. He probably will be on some of my teams. He's already on some of my teams. Or whatever. Well, the thing is, it's like, this is another weird thing about the Football Guys podcast that they bring up, and Cecil Landry brings this up a lot. Just because you draft a guy at a certain spot doesn't mean you have to count on him all season.
Right.
You may only need an 8th-round pick for 3 or 4 games. You may only need your number 4 receiver for 2 weeks or something like that. You don't know. It's all about you got to get your studs right. Obviously, those are the guys you want to focus on every single week.
You got DJ Chark last year in the 19th round, so you got to start him or whatever.
Right. Yeah, and that's awesome because it's like a cheat code when you can hit on those late round guys, which is so important. I want to talk about the opposite of a late round guy, Mcnamara, and we'll wrap it up here. He told reporters on Monday that he, quote, I don't know what this means. He tore his knee. I don't know if that's...
I'm out.
Yeah. But that happened in week 6, and then he said...
this was last year.
He dealt with it the whole season. He said it didn't require surgery, but he spent a ton of time this past offseason rehabbing it. Never played it fully healthy at 100% for the rest of the season. And how I feel about Kamara. I think he's in for a big-time bounce back this year. He only scored 6 touchdowns. I think he's going to be massive, and I'm taking him ahead of Ezekiel Elliott. And I have taken him ahead of Ezekiel Elliott already.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see where one can go one direction or the other on Elliott versus Kamara. So it makes a lot of sense. And I got no problem with that.
All right. So who's your top, just curiously, let's say you buy on these spots, you get the 3 pick.
At this point, I think they're close enough where I'm a little bit hedging between the two. I think I think it's pretty close. I guess if Elliott right now is the consensus, I would probably take Elliott because I haven't spent a ton of time thinking about it. So we just default to the consensus.
And then if you had 5, it would be Cook, is what you're saying?
Yeah, if those top 4 won, it would be Cook, yes.
Just to confirm, where is Edwards-Helaire here in the first round for you? Is he 7? Is he 8?
He's okay. So I have to figure out, for me personally, again, because I haven't been doing many drafts, but I have to figure out Edwards-Helaire, Mixon, and Sanders all in that 3 running back mix, and after them is Derrick Henry for me.
Okay.
So does that make sense?
Yeah. And that, well,
so I got the top 5 with Cook, and then Michael Thomas is not that I think he's a fine receiver, but he's kind of he'd be after those 3 running backs, maybe around where Henry is. So I mean, I would probably just not get Michael Thomas.
Here's the first round of Football Guys drafts right now. on average over the last 4 days. McCaffrey, Barkley, Elliott, Kamara, Thomas, Dalvin Cook. Okay, so Thomas is going right ahead of Cook. Then you have Kelsey, obviously tight end premium, at the 7. Edwards, Alaire, Miles Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Then Derrick Henry.
Then Mixon.
No. Devontae Adams.
Oh,
then Joe Mixon.
All right.
And then that's your first round, essentially. So
I think I like Mixon more than the consensus, which is weird because I used to hate him.
I just look at it, there's so many weapons there. Their offensive line it's a totally different animal and a better animal than it was last year. So I'm a fan. Mark me down. I'm down with Joe Mixon this year. In fact, I'll probably get him in a couple of leagues in Kentucky. Ladies and gentlemen, that's because I'm having one pick every freaking draft. Yeah. That is going to do it for this week. I want to thank Tom Grozak, the FFPC, Rob, Bryce, even though they didn't do anything tonight, and of course each and every one of you. All right, so
I think Blog Talk Radio,
for such train wreck.
There's a server issue.
To happen, to happen. We were good to go until about 8 minutes before the show is scheduled to start. So unfortunate. All right, so Scott Kobe and Michael Nazarick, we're going to try to get them on for a special podcast this week. There probably won't be a chat room for it, but we'll get it up on the BTR feed. And wherever you download your podcast, it'll be there as well.
If you need me to be in, I can actually probably do that with you.
I wouldn't worry about it. I will take care of it. All right, so then the other thing I want to bring up is next week's show. We'll have our annual Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship preview show. Working on aligning a couple of guests for that show. We have one booked already. Do you want to guess who that is?
Let me guess. Does he have a southern accent?
He does, Bobby. He's going to be on things there.
That's good.
Farrell Elliott will be on the show next week at 10/9 Central. Book those flights and those rooms for Las Vegas. And remember, save $400 on each additional FFPC main event team. We are looking right now, I would say, at 52 hours until the main event draft slot, early draft slot deadline expires for your second round, number 2. Yep. So if you want to get in and get your draft slot on Wednesday, make sure you're signing up by Monday.
4 left for the midnight.
That's going to happen. Be the hero, people. We're looking for 4 of them. 4 horsemen to join the midnight draft tonight. Yours truly will be hanging out with you in there. It'll be a lot of fun. In addition to the main event, check out the Football Guys Players Championship, the Terminator, the Super Bracket, Best Ball Leagues, high-stakes leagues we have going on in Las Vegas, and, of course, all the Dynasty sign-ups. Dave already told you to sign up for the midnight draft, so I won't tell you to do that again. Your weekend officially starts now. Thanks for listening, everybody.